Hey everyone, so back in 2015, Apple released the iPad mini 4, and because it's been such a long time, the price has dropped a lot lower. So in 2023, I'll be explaining to you whether or not it's still worth getting. So first off, let's talk about the software support. So if I go into settings, you'll see that the iPad mini 4 is only supported up to iOS 15, which means that it is a few years outdated. But if I go back over here, and I go into software updates, you'll see that I do still consistently get iOS 15 updates for security fixes. So you still can't expect to get many of the newer iOS features on the iPad mini 4, but at least you'll still get bug fixes whenever Apple finds out there's something wrong with the device. Now, unlike the software support, the screen resolution is actually not bad at all. If I search up the iPad mini 4 screen resolution, you'll see that it'll be 2048 by 1536, and this screen resolution actually stayed the same on the iPad mini 5, which came out 4 years later. Now, if I search up the iPad mini 6 screen resolution, you'll see that it did slightly increase, but it's really not going to be much of a difference. So if you choose to get the iPad mini 4, you will get a decent screen. Now, if you want an iPad that actually has a good camera, my suggestion is do not go for the iPad mini 4, because if I go into settings and into camera, you'll see that the video recording only goes up to 1080p at 30 FPS. And this actually stayed the same on the iPad mini 5, but on the iPad mini 6, you'll see that it increased all the way to 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. So if you want a small iPad that actually has good camera, then you should go for an iPad mini 6. So let's talk about the speed of the iPad mini 4. So the iPad mini 4 actually has the same processor as the iPhone 6, which came out back in 2014. So the only difference in speeds is that the iPad mini 4 has slightly more RAM than the iPhone 6. So you can expect the iPad mini 4 to be as slow as between the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6s. Now, if we compare the speeds between the iPad mini 4 and the iPad mini 5, you'll see that because the iPad mini 5 was released 4 years later, you'll see that the iPad mini 5 has an A12 chip, which will make the speeds 4 years ahead of the iPad mini 4. Now, if you compare the iPad mini 4 to the latest iPad mini 6, then you'll see that there's going to be an even bigger difference in the speeds. The iPad mini 6 is about 7 years ahead of the iPad mini 4. So if you're concerned about the speed of the iPad mini 4, then you should reconsider whether or not you want to buy it. Now, as for my personal experience, some of the basic features such as the animation speeds have gotten really slow over the last couple of years, and I've also noticed that the YouTube app is one of the most buggy apps on the iPad mini 4 because the user interface is just way too buggy. So should you get an iPad mini 4 in 2023? Well, my answer is no, because it's just way too hard to use and it's way too buggy. So unless if you found it for $89 like I found it over here, I suggest that you go for an iPad mini 5 or an iPad mini 6 instead. Now, if you still want to get the iPad mini 4 in 2023, I suggest that you just go on to backmarket.com, and once you're here, just search for iPad mini 4 and you should find the best deals for new devices. Now, if you want to get the iPad mini 5 or the iPad mini 6 instead, then I suggest you use Backmarket, or sometimes you'll find really good deals on Amazon, and I'm also going to have links for those in the description. Now, that is it for the iPad mini 4 review. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.